Hey everyone, this is Matt from the Archive of Everything, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Today we're going to be doing one of my favorite things, and that's making a tier maker list. Now last week the video got great reception where I was speculating on the potential Washington football team new names, and I did a little more digging in, and thanks to some of your helpful comments letting me know like the stars on the uniform are actually from, say, the DC flag, I feel like I can make a more well-informed guess. And what I'd really like to do is present it in this format that I think is a little easier to understand, where S is maybe the best and D is, say, the worst. And again, this is just my opinion, and I do welcome you to, discuss your own opinion in the comment section below. I'd also encourage you to subscribe to the Archive of Everything. Currently, we sit at 6.8% of you were subscribed for the last video, and if I could get that up to even, say, 20%, that would mean a huge difference for the channel, so go ahead and do that. I'd also encourage you to join the Discord where we can talk about things like the potential Washington football team new names, again in the link in the description below. Thanks, and on with the video. So today we're going to be starting off with maybe my least favorite one. So that has to be the Washington President. But anyway, so the Washington Presidents, I just think that sounds just really boring, to be honest. I was trying to think of what the logo would even be for this. Maybe it would be like the 3 stars for the DC flag. Or maybe it's like an outline of George Washington's head or something. But to me, it just sounds kind of boring. I mean, there's nothing really too threatening about that name compared to something like maybe the Red Hawks or something like that. So yeah, I'm just really not feeling that too well. And I did get this list. I compiled a list of maybe a lot of the names that I've been seeing online out in the cyberspace, and supposedly someone said they narrowed it down to 6 names, but honestly I really don't know what to believe. There's so many leaks. I think the Washington football team has more leaks than the Titanic at this point, but that's beside the point. So Washington Presidents, I'm also going to rate the Washington football team as a C. I actually do think the name is a little bit creative. I know that sounds kind of stupid because it's very generic, but I think that's what makes it really creative. I mean, they could have, I don't know what else they could have called it, but it's not my least favorite name in the world. I do think the uniforms are a bit generic though, and as I said in my last video, if they keep it just Washington football team, I'll be very disappointed. Let's see. I said Washington Armada was the one I thought was the potential for the most likely name, and in the latest final 6 list, this was in it, so I'm going to go ahead and rank that again as S. So again, this is my opinion, and you can have a totally different one, and I honestly do welcome that discussion. It's really interesting to me, and that's why I wanted to revisit this topic, but I still do stand by my decision to put Washington football, or Washington Armada, as the most likely name. And I'm also going to group Admirals in there as well, because I mean, they're very, very similar. They're both, that naval theme and whatnot, and they have a nice flow to it. Washington Armada, Washington Admiral. Let's see, what else do we have here? Washington Redtails. This is one, this would be based off of the Tuskegee Airmen. That was an old flying group, I believe in World War II. Correct me if I'm wrong there. It was an African-American flying regiment that was famous for their red painted tails, so they became known as the Washington Redtails. It still kind of keeps that flow from the old name, but in a much more respectable way by honoring that group of airmen. I think that would be kind of a cool one, but I'm rating it as a B. Based off of more likelihood than anything, because I just don't think it's going to happen at this point, just based off of all the information that's coming out now. Washington Monuments, I'm going to rate that as an A. I was talking with one of my friends about this the other day, and he thought this was going to be the most likely one, and at first I was pretty dismissive of it, but honestly the more I think about that and some of the potential logos I've seen with like the Washington Monument being the center part of the W and kind of sticking in very stylized, I actually can really get behind this. I think it's a fun name. It definitely blends well with Washington, D.C., having a lot of monuments in it. So is it likely? I don't think it's as likely as something like the Armada or the Admirals. I think it's just a little not threatening enough, maybe, but I do think it's, if it's not the top two, I do think it will be Washington Monuments. Washington Brigade will also put that as a B. To me, I don't know, something about Brigade just doesn't flow quite as well for me. I almost picture maybe like a Arena League team or something like that, or maybe just like a Madden create a team name, one of those pre-generated ones. I think it sounds a little bit too generic. I know a brigade is more of maybe a military term or whatnot, but to me, I just don't think it's quite as likely. So I put Commander here. I think it's supposed to be, actually I think it gets chopped off here, but this is Washington Commanders. I'm going to rate that as a C. I just don't really like that name very well, and just based off of the information I'm seeing and hearing, it just sounds a bit too generic. Now, for all I know, this could be it, but I mean, I think it's on the same level as, Washington football team. It's not a bad name, but it's not a great name. Like, Washington Commanders, it sounds, again, I think they're really going for the military-esque and kind of national, pride and whatnot. But I'm just not a fan of that. And I'm also going to put Washington Red Hawks. I'm not sure if they'd capitalize it the way I did, and the same thing with Red Tails if they did do that. But I think it would be an awesome name as well. There's a lot of really cool things they could do with the logo. They could join the litany of NFL teams with a bird as their logo. But I think it has a really nice flow. The only reason I don't rate it as high as like the Admirals or the Armada is, to me, it almost does sound like it could be a college team, like, obviously it's not this, but, say the University of Washington Red Hawks or something like that. But I could definitely see that growing on me the same way with the monuments. So these top four I would be very happy with if these ended up being the Washington football team names. These two here in the middle I wouldn't be as much of a fan of, but I would choose to accept it. But this is kind of the likelihood line. Below, A and above, I think is very to extremely likely, and anything B and below is extremely unlikely to me. So yeah, tell me what you think. Am I crazy? If you want to fill one of these out yourself, I'll put the link in the description to this below. In the comment section, let me know what you think. Looking at this again, I may even want to shift some of this around. So we're just over a week away, I think a week and a half or so, until Dan Snyder and the Washington football team reveal the new name, logo, uniforms, and all that. That'll be an exciting day, February 2nd. So looking forward to that. I'd really like to thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and join the Discord, and we can all hang out, talk about NFL, whatever you want to talk about. And I'll see you guys real soon. Thanks for watching.